what are the must-haves for Oklahoma here in 2025? I want to make sure we say this before we get into the offensive side and the defensive side and all that. I think the expectation for Oklahoma is not dwindling. Yeah, last year was a bummer. Sure, it's why you brought in Mateer, why you brought in Arbuckle. But the expectation of Oklahoma, I don't think, has dropped below not competing for a college football playoff spot. Like, I think with what they've done, the work they've done, they expect to be a factor in November, and I'm here for it. I'm here for that kind of edge. So for that to happen now, I say that to give the preface to the must-haves. If that's going to be a reality, I need on offense the Mateer magic. It sounds lazy. It sounds like the most easy, like low-hanging fruit to speak to Oklahoma. But I think it's valid because the roster talent at Oklahoma, just Oklahoma in general, like night and day more stable than they were a year ago, right, dude? Like, we're talking about brand new offensive line a year ago. We're talking about a brand new coordinator, never worked with a quarterback before, hadn't really played any college football besides the bowl game. There was so much there where you're like, could work. I hope it works. But, y'all, there's a reason why I picked this team to go 6-6 a year ago and why I'm so high on them. It's night and day different when it comes to how stable they are and what you can actually look at from playing games in the college football world on Saturdays and how you feel about it. You're not forecasting. You're forecasting to the SEC to a degree, but you're not forecasting if John Mateer can play D1 FBS football or not. You were a year ago with Jackson Arnold. You were a year ago with your offensive line and your offensive coordinator. You're not right now. You know Arbuckle and Mateer work well together. All right? So going back to my point here, I think the floor at Oklahoma is actually pretty high, pretty stable. But what's going to make the difference for you between being a team that wins 8 games, and it's a good year, it's a 2-1 improvement, good year relative to what you were before, and being a team that makes the college football playoffs, when you get in those games against the Texas of the world, South Carolina, Michigan week 2, your guy who you brought in to be the difference is the difference. And it may not be totally all ironed out. It may not make the most sense. It might not even look pretty in the box score. But in those spots where it's fourth in the game or it's the fourth quarter or whatever it is, you need John Mateer to go create the magic that you brought him in to create. And it sounds kind of, Hollywoodish, but I think that's just the reality you live in. That's why you brought John Mateer to Oklahoma. That's my must-have for Oklahoma if you're going to reach your expectations, which, again, are competing for a college football playoff spot. And I'm not here to tell you that shouldn't be the case. On defense, my must-have, I need that front seven. I need it to be top tier. And that's not a massively, surprising thing to say. That's kind of been Brent Venables' calling card his entire career as a defensive coordinator. Obviously the head coach now, but he's calling the defense. The qualifier there is I need them to be top tier, similar to the Mateer magic point. I need Oklahoma's front seven to be at their best in those games where you're playing the teams that major in the line of scrimmage. Like the game against Michigan, the game against Texas, the game against Tennessee. All 3 of those teams, what do we know about them and their personality? They are going to make it a priority to win the line of scrimmage. Not just priority, like they have a history of winning on the line of scrimmage. And so for Oklahoma, if you play well in some different spots, that's great. But if you don't play well in the spots that are going to make a difference between you being an 8-4 team and a 10-win team, then what are we talking about here? I love John Mateer, but he's not going to be the difference for you if he doesn't get to actually touch the football field because you're getting drugged through the mud and not able to get your offense back on the field because you averaging giving up 4 yards a carry. That's not what I anticipate, but I'm just saying with bringing back the majority of your defensive line, that has to show itself in the biggest spots against those teams. Like in the big dogs tier of college football, you got to have the big boys on the defensive side. And they do, but I want to see them play like it in those spots. So culturally now, and this is kind of what we do on these segments if you're new to the show, touch on the offensive side, the defensive side, and then we just have some sort of discussion around the culture, whether it's an observation, a prediction, or whatever. My observation on Oklahoma culturally, the thing that I love that I think everyone involved in that building right now gets what Oklahoma is, and they get what comes with that logo. And they, I think, have a different strut to themselves because of it. Like from Jim Nagy to the offensive staff to Mateer, there's an understanding of this is a place with some history, a place with some tradition, a place with expectations, a place with resources. Like, this is Oklahoma. 7-5 not going to cut it. 6-7 not going to cut it. Like, we have a different pep in our step. And does that actually count for anything? Like, not really. But I think without it, you're out to sea. You know what I mean? Like, I think for Oklahoma, it gives you extra purpose, extra confidence when you have an understanding as to what the standard is that you're playing behind, playing under. I've talked to people that just speak to what it's like walking into that building and what that logo means and kind of the weight that comes with that. And I don't know that was there a year ago. That's not knocking the previous season or that team, but like I don't think it was all the way clocking to them. Shout out Justin Bieber, as to how important it was to uphold that tradition, that standard, the privilege it is. And I think this team does get that. So again, does it count for any points on Saturday? No, but I think it's a necessary prerequisite to having the success that you expect to have here in 2025. So for Oklahoma, Mateer Magic needed on offense, defense, especially up front against the big boys, got to have it. No way around it. You can't be subpar against Michigan and win the football game. Ask Ohio State how they were on the defensive line against Michigan, and ask Alabama how they were against Michigan on the defensive line. And yeah, you got to bring it. Pack a lunch for that one. And then culturally, I just love that there's an extra swag and confidence. I think that comes with being at Oklahoma, and they understand that. So we will have some more predictions for you around Oklahoma in the near future, but that's how I feel about them heading into 2025 as it pertains to some must-haves.